What if I told you the first pandemic in history wasn't actually a mystery of nature, but a case we just solved 1500 years later? And here's the scarier part. The same killer microbe is still around today. For centuries, historians and scientists have argued about what caused the Plague of Justinian, the pandemic that shook the Byzantine Empire in the 6th century and killed tens of millions. Some called it plague, others doubted it. But now, researchers from the University of South Florida and Florida Atlantic University have cracked the case. They have pulled actual DNA evidence out of ancient graves in Jordan and finally proved who the killer was. And trust me, the answer will hit way closer to home than you think. Hello viewers, I'm Kavya Khandelwal and you're watching The Edge. Let's rewind to the year 541 AD. The Byzantine Empire under Emperor Justinian was at its peak. Trade was booming, cities were crowded, and Rome's eastern half was dreaming of glory. Then, out of nowhere, death struck. People dropped dead in the streets. Corpses piled up so fast, entire neighborhoods turned into makeshift cemeteries. Farmers couldn't harvest. Armies collapsed. Chroniclers wrote that the world seemed to die. This was the first recorded pandemic in human history. But here's the problem. Nobody could ever prove what caused it. Historians guessed it might have been the plague, but for 1,500 years, it stayed just that, a guess. See, we had circumstantial clues. Later, pandemics like the Black Death in the 14th century were definitely caused by the plague bacterium, Yersinia pestis. But when scientists went digging for the Justinian outbreak, the DNA evidence was missing, especially in the eastern Mediterranean, where the whole thing started. That gap left a giant mystery. Was the Justinian pandemic really plague or some other disease that got lost in time? That's where this new research comes in. An international team led by USF and FAU went to Jerash, an ancient Roman city in the modern-day Jordan, just 200 miles from Pelusium in Egypt, where the pandemic was first described. Under the ruins of a hippodrome, yes, an old Roman sports arena, archaeologists found a mass grave, dozens of skeletons buried in haste, likely victims of a sudden outbreak. The team drilled into teeth from 8 of those skeletons, searching for ancient DNA fragments. And what they pulled out was extraordinary: genetic fingerprints of Yersinia pestis. Not only did they find it, but all the victims carried almost identical strains, which means it wasn't some slow, simmering sickness. It was a rapid, explosive outbreak, exactly like the written accounts described. So, after 1,500 years, the mystery is solved. The plague of Justinian was the plague, the very same bacterium that caused the Black Death centuries later, and that, get this, still kills people today. In fact, in July this year, a man in Arizona died from pneumonic plague, the deadliest form of the infection. And just a week later, another case popped up in California. Rare, yes. Gone forever? Not even close. Here's the twist. Researchers also discovered the pandemics like the Justinian plague and Black Death weren't caused by one single superstrain. Instead, Yersinia pestis kept bubbling up from animal reservoirs, rats, fleas, wild rodents over and over again, sparking new outbreaks across history. Unlike COVID, which came from a single spillover and spread human-to-human, plague is a repeat offender. It never left us. It just waits in the background, ready to resurface. This discovery doesn't just solve a 1,500-year-old mystery, it rewrites how we think about pandemics. They aren't one-off freak accidents, they are recurring events, fueled by trade, by cities, by people moving and gathering in massive numbers, exactly like the world we live in today. The Justinian plague reshaped empires, broke economies, and changed history. And even with all our science, modern medicine, and vaccines, The reminder is chilling. Some enemies never truly go away. So the next time we think we have beaten nature, remember, Yersinia pestis has been here for millennia and it's still lurking. What do you think? Are pandemics part of our future no matter what? Or can we finally outsmart history? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow The Edge.